So let's continue on our Temple Mound search across the southeastern part of America. And let me preface this with, I believe that there is so much more to the story than this. However, for time purposes, I want to highlight the points that intrigued me. So beginning with the Kolomoki Mounds, located in Georgia, and I apologize in advance if I did not pronounce that correctly. The story goes that this park is the oldest and largest woodland Indian site in the southeast. It's also Georgia's oldest Temple Mound location. It encompasses 2 smaller burial mounds along with several more ceremonial mounds. There is an excavated mound on display for public viewing here, along with artifacts from the excavations. But I'm sure you're aware, like me, that there is a formed narrative surrounding these mound locations and the true origin of the findings. This property also contains 2 lakes and includes over 300 acres and has a total of 8 mounds. And so the narrative goes, the Swift Creek people roamed this land at one time, along with the Weedon Island cultures, a people from Old Weedon Island in Old Tampa Bay, which is a rabbit hole for another day. Interestingly, the park's museum was robbed in 1974 with numerous artifacts being stolen. It also made major headlines that some items were recovered by police in Miami and St. Augustine, Florida through black market dealers. However, many priceless artifacts were never recovered, and in my opinion, probably won't ever be. Excavations of these mounds took place in 2 time periods here. The first being in the 1930s under the FDR administration, and the second being in the late 1940s, early 1950s, on the tail end of World War II, as Nazi scientists were pouring into our country under Operation Paperclip. Not surprising, there is little information on these excavations beyond the acknowledgement that these excavations took place. But I do believe there is enough to piece together what they've tried to keep hidden from us all this time. I also came across documents linking Andrew Jackson to this area as well, along with claims of Jackson's conquer of the Creek Indians here, which started this county, Early County in Georgia. The other known mound location near here, Lamar Mounds, is located near Macon, Georgia in Bibb County. Once again, this area is also known and associated with the Mississippians. And of course, there are plenty of theories out there about all of these mound locations and the narratives surrounding them. So this really perked my interest here. It's noted that extensive excavation that took place during the 30s under Franklin Roosevelt's administration fell under the Works Progress Administration, which was all part of his quote-unquote New Deal. And yes, that sounds very familiar and is very similar to the New Deal that we hear of today. So the archaeologists that Franklin D. Roosevelt assigned to excavate these temple mounds under his Works Progress Administration were James Alfred Ford, Arthur Randolph Kelly, Gordon Randolph Wiley, Jesse Jennings, and Charles Heron Fairbanks. These names will be examined closer in a different video. Since they performed these excavations, we'll see who's who as far as involvement goes regarding the Temple Mounds. Later, the Lamar Mounds were allocated as part of the Ocmulgee National Monument. And of the two mounds located there, one was a spiral mound, which is more unique. And some believe that there is a connection between the Lamar Mounds and the Casas Grandes in Chihuahua, Mexico. And this brings us to the Ocmulgee Mounds and the national monument that sits all in this area. They have their mounds specifically named. They have the Great Temple Mound, which is on Walnut Creek, the Lesser Temple Mound, the Funeral Mound, the Cornfield Mound, the Southeast Mound, the Dunlap Mound, and the McDougal Mound. The Ocmulgee Mounds is a National Historic Park and the largest archaeology dig in America. And I would also like to know about the cornfield. There seems to be this big association with the cornfield, a spiritual gate, paranormal activity, and it seems to also be surrounded around sacred Native American grounds and places and things like these mounds. And there have been many horror flicks like Children of the Corn and movies like Field of Dreams that just lends the question of the significance of the cornfield and the correlation to the Mississippian culture. And for so much to be known about these, or about the Mississippian culture, there seems to remain so much of a mystery. So it is my belief that there is a connection between these bloodline elite families and the sacred temple mounds across the U.S. I believe there is a spiritual significance. I believe that some of these land grabs that are done by BLM and National Historic Places and UNESCO, I believe that these elite families orchestrate these entities to dominate the land and control the rules surrounding what we see and the narrative we hear involving these locations. And just as an example, what I mean by some of the rules regarding these lands, during George H.W. Bush's era, in 1992, amendments to the National Historic Park Association, they allowed for a new property type called traditional cultural property. And these properties are affiliated with traditional religious and cultural importance by a particular group. So who decides which group is legit? I think we will have to see what hand our government has had in these mounds and how closely they are tied to politicians of an elite genealogy, let's say. And next, we will explore some of the men who excavated these mounds. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. We're also going to look at some of these entities that make decisions regarding this land. So I hope you'll join us.